Hey there, this is Chad from Zombie Fight Shark. Welcome to episode 1 of our Grain Complete walkthrough. This is going to be very similar to a lot of the other walkthroughs that I've done. This first episode will be about the basics of the synthesizer. We're going to get into the specifics of what Grain can and can't do on episodes, really I'm going to say 3, 4, 5. But episode 1, we're just going to cover the most basic stuff. So if you know all this stuff, you could probably skip ahead to the next one. If not, buckle up. Let's go. So Grain is a very unique synthesizer compared to a lot of other stuff. So let's just give Reason Studios their due and read their description. So the Grain Sample Manipulator is a very advanced sampler and granular synthesizer, which offers sonic possibilities far beyond the ordinary. Despite its vast sonic capabilities, Grain has a straightforward user interface designed for experimentation. Grain uses samples as base for sound generation. You could either load a sample from your computer or sample straight into Grain. You can then select various types of sample playback modes and algorithms to manipulate and process the audio. You could also use Grain as a traditional sampler and just playback samples in a regular fashion. A number of filter and modifier algorithms make it possible to modulate and control the audio further. The extensive envelope section and modulation bus section allow for detailed and flexible modulation and control. Grain also features a flexible and great sounding multi-effect to spice up your sounds even more. So don't forget to check out their Grain videos here on that link. So this is my Grain video. So we're going to check out my Grain video. And I have a Europa here because I just wanted to point out that if you didn't notice, these two are very similar. And as a matter of fact, the whole bottom half of the synthesizers are pretty much identical. So if you know Europa, then you're halfway there already, because at least all this portion of it does a lot of the same things. So let's go through the basics of Grain here. Let's just start at the top. Patch select. I think most of us know what to do with that. And if you haven't played with these factory patches on this, I mean, there's really some sick stuff in here. You got to go in and play with them because this is just a rabbit hole I can get lost in for a long time. Just playing with those patches, because they're just some gorgeous, amazing, lush patches, and expertly programmed as always from Reason Studios. So there you go. There's your patch select. If you didn't know how to select a patch, you do now. Boom. Number of voices. So polyphony, it only goes up to 12 and 1. Kind of interesting, but if you're since you're playing from a sample, 12 is like, okay, well, when you think about like Thor, goes up to 16, and Subtractor goes up to 99 or whatever. So that seems like, okay, not a lot. But it's playing a sample. You got to keep that in mind. So there's a real process limitation. I'm certain plenty of computers can handle more than 12 of them, but it could be a programming limitation. I think it's valid. It's fine. Most of us only have 10 fingers, so just use all 10, you'll be fine. So then next one, master volume. I think we all know what the master volume does. It only goes to 60, but it does not go to 11. So sorry, any Spinal Tap fans. Key modes. Let's jump over here to key modes. Poly, retrig, legato. So poly is polyphonic. And just to here, we'll demonstrate. Just for those of you who are not in the know, I'm going to turn this oscillator on. All right, so there's our polyphonic mode for you. And retrig. Retrig starts the notes over every time you hit a new note. So I've switched to a different patch, and it's monophonic, and versus legato, which is gonna continue playing that same patch. So retrig again. So hopefully you get the idea there. Restarts the patch. Ooh, yeah, poly. All right, let's look at portamento. Again, basic. We'll switch to legato mode here, and it's gonna slip slide from one note to the next. So hopefully that makes sense there. And here's the time boosted all the way up. Still playable. Some of the synthesizers in Reason are not quite as playable when you boost that time all the way up, but this one's still playable. All right, let's check out auto mode. So if you are in a monophonic mode and you have auto turned on, then you won't slip slide between the notes. So I'm holding down. If the keys overlap, you slide between them. If they don't overlap, they don't slide between them. So that is what your auto mode does. Pitchbend and Mod Wheel, same thing they do on every synthesizer. So pitchbend, and this little PB range button does what's the range? How much do you want to bend that pitch? And then your mod wheel is a performance wheel. So if you, like right now, mod wheel is doing nothing because it's not assigned to anything. You can see right here where it says mod wheel and then there's nothing over there. Like it won't do anything until you've given it a job to do. So let's open a patch and we'll do something with a mod wheel. So this is the Infinity Cloud patch. You can see mod wheel is going to distortion amount and distortion drive. So here's the patch. Now let's and it's going to be different every time. So that's what mod wheel does on this patch, but you can assign what you want it to do. So you can assign the mod wheel to affect pitch. You can assign the mod wheel to affect the format. You can assign the mod wheel to affect your grain length, all kinds of different things. So, you know, let's just do that just for fun. Mod wheel grain length is at 100. Yeah, it's just subtle, but it's doing a thing. So there you go, mod wheel. Let's jump over to the amplifier, ADSR envelope right here, attack, decay, sustain, release, then gain, velocity, and pan knobs. Let's just reset this device. Attack. Here's the attack, decay, sustain, or sustain. Take that way down. It's gonna hold like that forever because we got sustain on it. But if you take that away, then you just get that. And then release. 6 seconds, 15, 20, up to 40 seconds. Let's do 5. So I just hit the chord and took my hand off, and there you go. There's your release. Gain does what gain normally does. Makes things louder or softer. Velocity. So this is velocity to gain. So when I want the patch to get louder when I play harder, and I want it to get softer when I play softer, then that's what this knob here is for. So if you're playing on a patch and you're like, doesn't matter how hard or soft I hit, it always is the same, then this is your boy right here, velocity knob. There you go, velocity knob. And then last but not least, pan. I think most people know what pan does. Left or right, left or right. Thunder or lightning, thunder or lightning. Which one do you want? All right, so there's your pan knob. So in previous tutorials, I've saved the effects units for their own tutorial. I'm not going to do that this time because this is the same effects unit that Europa has. These are all kind of standardized canned effects. So we're going to go through them pretty quick. Really with effects, you just have to go through and play with them. You know, that's kind of the whole point is music isn't driven by effects. Music is driven by what you create. The effects are the seasoning that you use when you create that music. So go through, you know, listen to what these do, but go through on your own and discover, oh, I love when chorus sounds like this. I love this type of distortion at this drive and this with this tone. So let's get into them. First, on off. It is important to know that there is an on off button for these because you feel real dumb. I mean, I'm not saying like this has ever happened to me or anything, but you feel real dumb when you've been playing with a patch and you're just like, oh, I'm gonna just a little bit more distortion right here, and oh yeah, this would be wicked right here, and you're like, it sounds exactly the same. Why does it sound the same? Well, maybe I didn't do a thing. Am I routing something wrong? And you spend 5 minutes trying to figure out why it won't work. And it's because the button wasn't on, because you have to turn it on first. So you know, again, you know, it's not like that ever happened to me, but you know, I know people who that's happened to. So anyways, and let's go. Chorus. All right. Chorus, flanger, phaser. They're all brothers, sisters in the same family. Just to repeat that on-off message, hey, there's an on-off button here. You have to use that on-off button too, and they both have to be on if you want to hear the effect. So let's select a different patch, and then we will check out an effect on it. Okay, so I've selected Deep Blue C to play with the effects here. So let's go through them. First, in this one, it already had reverb on, so you know that's fine. And reverb, your decay. Too much. It just goes on forever. They just go on forever here, Georgie. So that's what your decay does. How long do you want it to go on for? So there's the no delay. Turn it on. Let's give it a little bit of juice. So I think you can see what decay does. Size of the room that it's simulating. So, you know, if you want to go bananas and you just want it to be enormous, all reverb all the time, then that's all reverb there. I'm not holding the note. I just tapped it. It's a lot. It's a lot of reverb. So we'll change the amount there so you can actually tell. All right, so hopefully you see what the size does there. So small room, long decay, small room. And that's another way to create some interesting effects. Small room, huge decay. And it's a way to get instrument feedback. So yeah, something to play with there. Damp. So the easiest way to illustrate this is to do it like so. One more time. So damp, the way I think of it is, imagine someone's put padding on the walls. And so as you're from this side, the walls are heavily padded. From that side, there's no padding on the walls. And it's just levels of that in between. And there's more going on to it than that, but we don't have to go into the theory of reverb dampening to understand it all. And then last but not least, amount. You know what amount does. We played with that. All right, so let's look at the delay. And we've got synced or unsynced. And unsynced, we go up to 1 second delay to 0 second millisecond. And this is another way to create a weird effects is if you take your delay rank, down to next to nothing on your milliseconds. So let's see, how low can we go? So is it 4? It's gonna let me go to 4. If I can stop moving my hand. And then you take that feedback way up. You get crazy alien harmonics that are just delay feedback. All right, now let's switch it to sync, and we've got at the slowest or fastest 1/16. Probably cut that feedback back a little bit, all the way up to half notes. So it's not crazy. You got some triplets, a couple of triplets in there. And that's, for a built-in effect unit, that's all you need. Ping pong. So just up and down there on this, straight down the middle on the reverb versus ping pong it. It's going from ear to ear. Hopefully you can hear that. And then turn the ping pong off. We got pan. So my instrument's in the center, but my delay is on the left. And my delay is on the right. Delay is on the left. Delay is on the right. So that's your pan knob. And then feedback. How long do you want it to go on for? So it doesn't, if you want like a slap back, then you go way down. And then, if you're looking for a spacey effect, then you get the idea how to do that. And then the amount. So once you pass the 50% mark, then you should be aware that your delay might be louder than your original note. So that's it. Let's look at distortion. And I haven't done an A/B yet to prove this, but I'm pretty sure the distortion this is a Scream unit basically built into it. Certainly several pieces of it sound very similar. Of course, Scream has more features on it. Scream 4, the distortion unit in Reason. If you don't know what that is, check it out. Okay, so different types of distortion doing different things to the notes. And to illustrate that further, let's add a device. All right, so I've wiped out the pad. I'm back to Sawtooth Wave, and we're going to see what the distortions do to each Sawtooth Wave. So starting with, we'll lower the amount, and we'll lower the drive, and we're going to start with just one that's called Distortion. Nothing yet, not really. So it's flattening it out. And then the tone knob, it's actually rounding it back out. So that's interesting. So it literally, like, Sawtooth, the tone knob then was amount all the way, tone all the way down, nothing. And then we can, okay, now it's that tone knob. It's filtered out enough harmonics that it's now a sine, and then now it's a square or a pulse wave. All right, so let's check out Scream. What does it do? So it kind of rounded off one of the edges, similar effect. Yeah, and the tone again is really a filter. All right, let's check out 2. So it's completely changing the harmonics to the waveform. All right, so I've added the Melda analyzer from Melda Production. Awesome company. Go check them out. And now you can actually see the harmonics that it's adding as we do it. So just for fun. All right, let's check out sine. What does it do? So it's adding more sine waves, and look at that! Look at the analyzer. That thing's going crazy. So it's like making the fundamental totally different. And that tone knob again is more of a filter. But moving those harmonics around, let's look at sample and hold. All right, so. It is wackadoo. So just holding one note, you can see what it does to it. Let's check out that ring. Ring modifier. So I mount all the way up, drive all the way down, like there's no fundamental anymore. And then as you play with it, you know, it's moving the fundamental. I mean, so there's the fundamental, you can see it. And it's kind of interesting what the tone knob does here. Let's, we lost it. No, okay, tone knob's still basically a filter. All right, so that was a lot into the distortion here, but I think you got it. EQ is an EQ. So EQ does what's promised. You can accent a frequency, and you have Q control of how deep it cuts or how much it boosts one particular frequency. You can see this right around this area here. Watch that. You see it move that frequency around. So and then there it is cutting it. You can see it moving around again. So that's what your EQ does. Let's see. Let's do your phaser, because that's a fun one, which is also flanger, which is also chorus, and you see the name changes there: chorus, flanger, phaser. And I didn't mention it before, you can move these around, so if you were paying attention, you probably saw that, like, wait a second, those are in a different order. So yeah, that's just that's a nice little Easter egg there, where, you know, stuff you're not using, move it to the end. All right, so chorus. Okay, here we are back at our sawtooth. Let's check out chorus. So depth, rate, spread, and you have to turn it on. So, you know, depth is your stereo, spread is your stereo signal. You can hear it spreading out, monophonic to all the way out. Rate is how fast is the chorus effect going. And then depth, how deep does it go? So right there, that rate is really fast, but the depth is low, so you can't hear anything. Boom, you can hear it. hopefully you get the idea. Amount does the same thing. How much do you want to apply? All right, flanger. So same names on these because they do the same things. Spread doesn't work unless you have rate and depth going. Right? So you can hear it spreading out, but I'll take the depth and rate off. Like, it does nothing by itself. So you got to have something going. Rate does the same thing that it did with chorus. We'll turn the depth up so you can hear it. And then depth, again, same as the chorus. And you got to watch out when you're playing with that because that will feedback something nasty sometimes. And then let's look at the phaser. It's I'm not going to go into the theory of these and how they all work more than I already have. But phasers like the so phaser's the tweaked out cousin of the flanger, I guess, since it's got that resonance on it. And you can see they don't restart, they don't re-trigger when you play a new note. They're on their own cycle, so just beware of that. If you're trying to trigger something in time, they're not going to reset. And amount is the amount. I think we figured out what amount does. All right, last one, compressor. And it's a compressor. Definitely this is not the episode to go into the theory behind compressor, how compressors work, what they do, and whether or not you should use them. Let's be satisfied with there's a compressor built in, and it works. We'll see if we can find a patch that we can demonstrate the compressor on. All right, so I'm on the buzzed formant patch, and I'm going to turn the compressor on, and let's see if I can get it to actually where you can actually hear it. Yeah, okay, yeah, you can hear a little bit. So I've cranked it up kind of crazy, but I wanted to illustrate. All right, so as I lower the threshold, you'll hear it kick on. And if you've ever wondered how in a dance track how a producer will get the bass to pump along with the kick drums, or the synth to pump along the woof 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 woof, that's compression. You time the compression, release and attacks. You time and ratio to some degree to the kick and the bass or the kick and the synth, and you can create that pumping effect pretty easily. That's pretty synonymous with a lot of EDM and lots of other things too. Anyway, that's for another episode and another series, because that's it for episode 1, my friends. That was the basics and the overview. So I hope you learned something. And the next episode, we're going to cover envelopes and filter, and that one won't be too painful. And then after that, it's LFOs and blah, 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 blah. We'll get there. So thanks for watching. Thanks for your eyes and ears. And I'll see you next time. Cheers.